This is a short little video on how to sign into your Chromebook, how to access ClassLink, Google Classroom, and Google Meet. I'm also going to go over a couple little tips and tricks for using Classroom and Google Meet just to make things a little bit easier. So we're going to start out with signing into your Chromebook. You can use Classroom on any of your computers that you might have access to, but this is specifically right here for a Chromebook. So when you open up your Chromebook and power it on, you'll get a page like this saying sign into your Chromebook. This device is managed by hudson.k12.wi.us, and just click next. From here, you'll have the actual sign-in page for ClassLink. This is actually just an image, a screenshot that I took, so I can't actually interact with it right now. But right here where it says username, you put your username. When you're logging into ClassLink, you don't have to worry about that at hudsonraiders.org or anything like that. You'll also put your password in here. After you put in your username and your password, you'll just click the sign in button. It will think for a second and you'll be all logged in. Anytime you're signed into a Hudson School District computer or device, this bookmark tab will always be here. So you'll find that and you'll just click ClassLink and it will bring you then to this window. So ClassLink here, I'm just going to move my little icon, has all of the apps that you might need for school. The one we're looking for is under Google Apps. It's this little green folder here. It might be in a different order for you because you can move these around, but it's the green folder. And then we're going to click Google Classroom. And that will bring it up in a new tab. So Google Classroom is going to be your home base for everything you need this year. It's going to have all of your classes here on your main page. If you're an elementary school student, you'll probably have a reading class, a writing class, a math class, a science, social studies, health class. Your teacher might also make like a homeroom or a general, Mrs. Johnson's class, Mrs. Johnson's first grade, something like that for you too, where they might put general announcements and that sort of thing. You'll also have classes for any of your specials that you take, like art, music, any special reading classes that you have, that sort of thing. So that can be a lot of classes here in one page. One thing you can do to make it a bit easier for you is you can actually drag and drop these around to any order that you want. Now, if I were taking classes, what I would do is I would order them in how my day looks. So you'll notice some teachers might put the time of the Google Meet or when the subject is normally taught in the title. So I would rearrange it based on what my class schedule looks like. You could do that same thing if you're a high school or middle school student. You'll have classes for each of your courses during the day. You can just rearrange them in whatever way makes the most sense to you. But I'll put them back in order of kind of time. So I'd start with my 7:30 morning meeting class, then maybe I have writing and reading, and then let's say I have my math class, and then something else after that, and then I'll put this one here at the end. Whatever makes the most sense to you, you can just click and hold, and that way you can drag them wherever you want them to be. So I'm going to open up right now my 7:30 to 7:45 a.m. morning meeting class. Once you're here, if you are looking around, you have your stream tab. That's really the most important thing here is this Meet link. Other than that, pretty much everything I put in this class, I'd look for in this classwork tab. I think it's just a lot more organized and easier to find things in. So I always recommend, unless you're looking specifically for your Meet link, just skip right over that and go to your classwork tab. But right now, the Meet I want to show you is actually in that math class. So I'm going to go to the main menu, which is these 3 bars right here. And I could either just click this and go to all my classes, or I could go here and look at my classes, and they're actually in that same order that I put them in my home page, and select math. So there's a couple places you can find your Google Meet link in your classroom. The first place, the easiest place I think, is this banner that's in your stream. It's here at the top. It's got the title, your class code, and then at the bottom here is this little Meet link. That's what you'll use to get to your classes. You might also have them listed in your assignments, so they're easy to find. So let's say math lesson here. It's got it right here along with the PowerPoint that the teacher would be using to teach this class, and a YouTube video. So any links that you'd need for that class period would be right here. So you could open with either one of those. I'll click it there. Before you enter a meet, you always want to mute your microphone. You can do that here by pressing this little button. When it is red, that means your microphone is off. When it's clear, that means it's on. You always want to be muted before you enter a meet, just because it'll be a lot of people entering the meet at the same time. And with all those people talking at once, just the same as if you had a lot of people talking when you entered a classroom, it'd be very loud and overwhelming and hard to hear your teacher. So you just want to mute yourself when you first enter, and then you can unmute yourself when you need to talk. You can also turn off your camera if you'd like to. So that's off here. You can still see my camera here because this is part of my recording software. You would not normally have this icon here. So don't worry about that. What matters here is you have this, it's gone red. That means my camera's off. So I can see and I can hear what's going on in the meet, but I don't necessarily have to show my own house or what have you. But I will, for this, keep this on. Once you're muted, you can just go ahead and hit join now. All right, so here's my Google Classroom. So you'll notice right away that this over here up in this corner is me. I'm also signed in 2 other times to just kind of give you an idea of what a Google Classroom with people in it would look like. Obviously, if I were actually in Google Classroom, not all of them would be me. So this one over here, this camera that I'm looking at now, would be like my teacher's camera. And then this one over here, this is me up here where it says you. There are a couple different options for how you change your view in your Google Meet. So there's a pin option. So let's say this camera here is my teacher and I'd like to pin that. What you can do is you can just hit this little, it's like a little push pin. Click that and that will pin that image to your screen instead of showing the other ones. So by hitting these 3 buttons over here, these 3 dots, it will bring up your more menu. And I'll click change layout. There's Spotlight, which is kind of looks like what I'm using right now, with just one big picture in the middle of my teacher. Or I can click those dots and bring up layout again. And maybe I want a sidebar. So maybe the teacher is presenting, but there's a bit of group discussion. So maybe I want this and it will make one person big and then I'll bring the other ones down here along the side so I can still see those people, but the main focus is still on the teacher so that I can see, let's say they're in front of the whiteboard, I can still see the whiteboard nice and clear. And then the last option under change layout is tiled. So right now it just looks like these 2. It will be up to 7 by 7 tiles, so 49 squares for both your teacher and your students. So this would be really good for if you had morning meeting or something like that when everyone's talking together. It's a big group discussion and you want to see everyone's face. You might want to use tiled view. But for the most part, what I use is that spotlight option or auto, which basically switches between them based on what Google Meets thinks would work best based on the number of people talking, how much people are moving, that sort of thing. You could choose auto, it would select for you. But I'll select spotlight right now. I'll also pin this view here because that's the camera I'm looking at. There's a couple other settings here in Google Meet that you might be interested in. There's captions right here. So if I click that, I've got my microphone on so my captions will work. So in real time, Google will listen to what my mic is picking up, tell me what it's saying in a caption form like this. It'll change the beginning of the sentence based on what it understands in the end, if it misheard you. It's very smart and can help out if you're having a difficult time hearing or something like that, or if you just understand better when you're reading. Some people just learn better that way. So you can turn on captions like this. Oh, you'll see it was kind of moving around a little bit, switching between one version of it and another. It's constantly changing and constantly thinking based on the stuff that you're saying. So I can have my captions up here. If I want to turn them off, I just hit that button again and they'd be gone. A couple other things that are interesting that you might want to use in Google Meet are under settings. So under audio here, you'll see this little noise cancellation switch. When that's on, Google will take out anything in the background that it doesn't recognize as speech. So if it hears footsteps in the background, if you're typing on your keyboard, anything like that, it will automatically take out from the sound that it sends out to everyone else in the Meet. That won't apply to other people who are in the Meet. It won't automatically edit what's coming into your speakers. Other people will have to change that setting for themselves, but that will change what is being sent out from your microphone. Let's say your teacher is teaching at the whiteboard and they're not looking at their Google Meet right away. You can always open up the chat box here and ask a question, or just type out, "I have a question." So you could either just put in the chat that you have a question and the teacher can follow up with you, and you could turn on your mic to ask it, or you could type out your full question there or have your parent type it out for you. Another thing that you might want to do while you're in your Google Meet is have your assignment up at the same time. So on one tab, you can be watching your teacher teach a class, and then in the other tab, either have the assignment up or have the PowerPoint up so you can follow along there. So this is how you would do split screen on your Chromebook. What you'll do is hit this little icon here. It's restore down. It's got two little squares. So you'll hit that and then bring this over to the side and resize it how you would like. Then in your other tab, you still have your classroom open because it doesn't disappear when you open up your Meet link. That will stay here. You'll go to your classwork tab, and let's say we're in this math lesson from August 4th. So if you want to open this tab and be able to view it at the same time, you'll just up here at the top, click and hold the tab, and then drag it over to the other side of your screen. And then once it's there, you can adjust it. I have this assignment, number 001, this number grid assignment. I could open up that, and I could be working on that and following along while my teacher teaches on the whiteboard. So you can zoom in here so I can see my full number grid, and I can look at the question and follow along with the teacher on your one screen and also be working on this one. And let's say you're done using your split screen. You could just either close this tab, or you could even click it and drag it back over, have it back where you had it before, and then you'll hit this maximize. It's now just one square, and that'll make it full screen again for you. And you can have just your Google Meet open again. So there's a couple things that you can do in Google Meet to make things, I think, a little bit easier, to use it a little bit better. So I hope this video helped you a bit. Once you're done with your Google Meet, you'll just hit this phone button, this leave call, close that, and you're gone.